Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. We're in the middle of a very busy race weekend in Formula One, not just on track, but also behind the scenes. Alongside the usual free practice sessions, a crucial meeting took place on Friday, gathering all F1 teams and engine manufacturers to discuss what could be a seismic shift in the sport's future: the possible return of naturally aspirated V10 engines as early as 2029. Before diving into the details, make sure to subscribe to Grand Prix and join the community of 100,000 F1 fans who live and breathe this sport every day, debating, supporting their favorite drivers, and following every twist and turn of the season. Now let's break down what happened. Multiple reliable sources confirmed that this Friday, just before FP1, a closed-door meeting was held involving the FIA, Formula One management, and all current and future power unit suppliers. The main topic on the agenda? Discussing alternatives for the 2029 engine regulations, including the possible cancellation of the 2026 hybrid engine format and an early transition back to V10 internal combustion engines. Among the proposals discussed were keeping the current hybrid setup through 2028, skipping the 2026 regulation changes entirely, maintaining the 2026 engine rules as planned, but switching to combustion-only V10 engines by 2030. So, how did the manufacturers react? According to reports, Honda, Audi, and Mercedes all voiced clear opposition to the idea of a combustion-only format in 2029. Honda and Audi emphasized that their excitement to join or remain in F1 is rooted in hybrid innovation. For them, removing the electric component undermines their long-term strategy and the very reason they're in the sport. Mercedes expressed concern over the timing. They've invested heavily into their 2026 power unit and believe an early shift would mean discarding years of development. They also argued that such a drastic move would seem like a regulatory patch, rather than a well-thought-out evolution for the sport. However, Mercedes remained open to a future discussion about V10 engines for 2030 onwards, seeing it as a more feasible and structured plan. Meanwhile, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Cadillac were notably quiet during the meeting, despite previously showing support for the V10 concept. With 3 manufacturers already opposing the change, it's likely that the vote will be postponed or canceled entirely, as 4 out of 5 need to approve the shift to make it official. But that wasn't the only point discussed. A proposal to relax certain engine regulations also came up, aiming to level the playing field among manufacturers. Right now, if a team like Alpine designs a flawed power unit, they're locked into that performance window for years, with limited options for upgrades. This disparity has created a noticeable performance gap on the grid, something the FIA wants to prevent moving forward. The takeaway? Unless something drastic happens, the 2026 engine regulations are likely to remain intact, at least until the end of 2028. From there, we may see a reassessment of the combustion engine proposal, giving Honda and Audi more time to consider a possible shift and allowing for a more unified approach across the grid. So what do you think? Do you agree with the manufacturers that a sudden return to V10 engines is too disruptive? Or do you believe it's the right direction to revive the sport's DNA and bring back the thrilling sound and power of classic Formula One? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video, subscribe to Grand Prix, and turn on notifications to stay ahead of all the action, on and off the track. It's no secret that the FIA has been navigating turbulent waters behind the scenes. Over the past few months, the organization has faced mounting criticism, internal instability, and public dissatisfaction, not just from fans, but also from drivers, teams, and now, from within its own leadership. This week, the situation escalated dramatically. Early Thursday morning, news broke that Robert Reid, the FIA's vice president for sport, had resigned from his position. But this wasn't just a quiet departure. In a strongly worded statement, Reid openly criticized FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem, accusing the current administration of deviating from the organization's core values and transforming its structure into what he described as a power-driven system, lacking transparency and accountability. According to Reid, when he accepted the role, his mission was to serve the members of the FIA, not to serve power. However, as time went on, he claims he witnessed the FIA crumble from the inside, abandoning the very principles it once stood for. He expressed concern that key decisions were being made behind closed doors, without proper consultation, transparency, or adherence to the procedures and structures that were carefully built to guide the sport fairly. "I can no longer be a part of this," Reed declared. "There is too much wrong happening behind the scenes. Integrity, responsibility, and respect have vanished from the FIA." His words echoed the sentiments of many within the sport who feel the FIA, under Ben Sulayem's leadership, has become increasingly authoritarian, involving itself in areas that do not require intervention and implementing decisions without the consensus of those most affected. This is far from the first time concerns have been raised. Several drivers and team principals have quietly, and sometimes publicly, expressed frustration over how recent issues have been handled. The impression many now have is that the FIA is acting more like a dictatorship, bypassing stakeholder input and undermining the collaborative spirit that motorsport governance demands. To make matters worse, David Richards, the chairman of Motorsport UK and a highly respected figure in global motorsport, has also spoken out. He warned that the FIA's centralized control could threaten the future of FIA-supported races in the UK, especially if the current trajectory continues. Richards urged the organization to rethink its role, restore balance, and re-establish a system where trust, dialogue, and cooperation lead the way, not unilateral authority. These developments come at a time when Formula One is experiencing incredible global popularity. The stakes have never been higher, and yet, the internal fractures within the FIA are becoming harder to ignore. The concern is that if these governance issues persist, they could start affecting the sport's on-track product and the trust of fans worldwide. It's clear that something needs to change. Fast. But now we want to hear from you. Do you believe the FIA is heading down the wrong path? Has it become too authoritarian under current leadership? Or do you think this is just part of the natural growing pains of modernizing the sport? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Grand Prix, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the latest, not just on the track, but in the rooms where the biggest decisions are being made. Let's talk about one of the most talked about controversies of the new Formula One season. A controversy that actually dates back to last year: flexible rear wings. The FIA has made it clear, last season and again this year, that any excessive flexing of rear wings, particularly those that could mimic a drag reduction system, DRS, will not be tolerated. This time, Mclaren has found itself in the spotlight. It all started when Red Bull publicly accused Mclaren of running a rear wing that flexes too much at high speeds, potentially offering a significant aerodynamic advantage. According to Red Bull, the Mclaren rear wing creates a micro-DRS effect. A tiny gap opens between the wing elements during high-speed straights, improving top speed and reducing drag. Such behavior is explicitly prohibited under FIA technical regulations. To address concerns like this, the FIA implemented new, more rigorous testing procedures this season, tightening the limits for wing flexion to just 0.5 millimeters under load. This revision aimed to prevent any design that could alter the aerodynamic profile of the car during racing conditions. After the new rules came into effect, it was revealed that 4 or 5 teams had to modify their rear wings to pass the new compliance tests. Mclaren was among the teams that passed, with their car deemed fully legal by the FIA's updated standards. But then came the Japanese Grand Prix. High-speed footage and telemetry analysis from that race raised new concerns. According to Racing News 365, side-by-side footage comparing the Mclaren and Red Bull rear wings shows a clear discrepancy. While Red Bull's wing remains rigid across various speeds and loads, McLaren's wing appears to flex more visibly, especially at high speeds, opening slightly on the edges and then returning to its normal position. This behavior, while subtle, could translate to better straight-line speed and increased downforce through corners, giving McLaren a competitive edge. The visuals even seem to show the edges of McLaren's rear wing opening just enough to resemble a mini DRS, which, again, is not supposed to happen outside of designated DRS zones or without explicit driver input. So far, the FIA has not publicly commented on the footage from Japan. However, Many in the paddock expect the issue to be raised again during the next Grand Prix weekend. Teams are watching closely to see whether McLaren or any other team will be forced to make changes to their aerodynamic packages or face possible investigations. For now, everything remains technically within the rules, but it's clear that this debate isn't over yet. So what do you think? Do you believe McLaren is pushing the limits of what's legal? Is it time for the FIA to step in and take stronger action? Or do you think this is all within the natural gray area of innovation in Formula One? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video and want to keep up with all the latest F1 updates, hit the like button, subscribe to the Grand Prix channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single moment from the world of Formula One.